I'm Ron from Barefoot Gaming, and today we review a trio of CPU coolers from Reeven. The Justice RC1204, the Ouranos RC1401, and the Okeanos RC1402. Let's begin, shall we? So every PC user out there needs a CPU cooler, and you might be asking, why would somebody spend extra to get a bigger one? Well, if you're asking that question, you've never had issues with heat, and you've probably also never played with overclocking. Both of those come into play. Now, for a super quick description of what overclocking does, in case you are unaware, increasing the voltage of your CPU and increasing the clock speed or the bus speed or any of the speeds will generally improve your CPU performance in a big way. However, because you're increasing the voltage, it gets way hotter. With that, dear friends, is where these large air coolers and liquid coolers start to come into play. As a warning, there will be some boring specs, and I will do my best to keep you from falling asleep. I'm gonna rattle through this quickly. Get ready, here goes. All three of these coolers support Intel LGA 1150 series. That's 1155, 1156, the 1150, the 1366, and 2011 sockets. But my AMD friends, you are covered as well, because it works with AM2, AM3, FM2, and the plus versions of all of those, as well as the FM1. That's a lot. The first specs I'm going to throw your way to help you determine if these are even going to fit in your case, which, as you can imagine, is quite important. So the Justice is 131 millimeters wide, 162 millimeters tall, and 105 millimeters deep. Comes with a single 120 millimeter fan. It has 6 heat pipes, and the fan speed is between 300 and 1500 RPM. The noise levels start at 4 decibels, and they go up to 29.8 on max. The Ouranos is a whopping 143 millimeters wide, 161 millimeters tall, 95 millimeters deep, and comes with a single 140 millimeter fan. This has 4 6mm heat pipes, as well as 2 8mm heat pipes, and fan speeds of 300 to 1700 RPM. Noise levels on this one are anywhere between 5.8 to 36.4 decibels. Lastly, the Okeanos is 140 millimeters wide, 163 millimeters tall, 135 millimeters deep, and has 140 and a 120 millimeter fan, because there's one that sits in the middle. Because this is broken down into 2 towers, it has 4 times and 2 times heat pipes, and the noise levels are 5.8 to 36.4 or 4 to 33.4. Again, 2 fans, they're going to run together. The pipes are all nickel plated, copper by the way, to help radiate the heat away from the CPU, and you'll note the bright yellow signature fans in the black frame that Reeven uses are pretty darn cool looking. The Justice uses yellow plastic clips to plug into the fan and snap up against the heatsink, while the other 2 coolers both use the standard metal stretch wire that runs around the fins. Now at this point, I'm going to mention that you will need a long screwdriver to tighten these to your motherboard, and it cannot be done with one of those multi-tip ones, as there is a hole in the top of the cooler to run your Phillips head screwdriver through, but it's not wide enough for a multi-tip screwdriver, just as a heads up. Also, this is very, very important. There's a sticker on the base of every one of these heat sinks that you have to remove before installing. Now, seriously, it's clear, but there is a warning symbol on it. If you don't remove it, you are going to fry your CPU. Pull the sticker off. All of these come with standoffs and adapters that you may need, as well as some thermal paste, and they all come with a wrench to tighten up your nuts. Let's talk performance. So I use my i7-477 CPU to run these benchmarks as one of my Asus boards, and clearly the numbers you get may not be exactly the same as the ones that I've got, but I used the same setup to test all of the coolers so that they would show us how each compare to each other running on the same standard. Now, with temperatures, you have to remember that lower is better, right? Because we're talking about heat. And all the idle temperatures were around half of what the stock load was. Speaking of the stock load, the Intel stock cooler runs at 80.5, the Reeven Justice at 51.5 degrees, the Ouranos at 51, and the Okeanos at 50.25. Now, pushing this all up to a stable overclock, the Intel stock cooler ran at 100 degrees, the Justice at 70.5, the Ouranos at 71.5, and the Okeanos at 70. Now, I'm not going to get into the specific noise levels that they all reached, because honestly, people don't know what to compare those to anyway, and I'm not going to tell you how loud a jet is. I've done that in the past. Needless to say, you need to remember that as these things get louder, it's going to get louder, and at full range you're going to hear them over your headphones. So what's my takeaway after all of this testing? Well, first off, these are all great CPU coolers, and you cannot go wrong with any of them. They all outperform the Intel stock cooler by a long shot, a ridiculous amount, as they should. But at best, the difference between the three in performance is a single degree in stock load or overclocked, with the Okeanos winning by that single degree. But keep in mind, the Okeanos has 2 times the fans, so it is also going to be running louder. If you're looking for a new CPU cooler and these are on your list, I think the way I would recommend choosing which one you should get probably comes down to size and fan noise. Of course, you can mitigate this by using a silent computer case like the Be Quiet, which I'll be reviewing shortly. And this is crazy quiet, by the way. Check your prices. Again, make sure that it fits. And that's the review for the trio of Reeven CPU coolers. If you have any questions, like always, I will do my best to answer them. Leave them down below. Subscribe if you want to know when our videos are coming out. Like if you like it. I will talk to you again real soon. Lots more coming your way. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.